Hey everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Alison Rosen is your new best friend. I'm very excited to welcome my guest in a moment. But first, I must catch up with my producer, the bad boy of podcasting, Tony Thaxton, who is back in town after his stupid big rock tour of the whole country and other countries. He's back and he's promised to never leave except for occasionally. Hello. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you.
That was accurate, was it not?
To you, yes.
Well, I mean, what else is there but accurate to oneself? I think Shakespeare said that. To thine own self be accurate.
Yeah, I think it's in the Bible also. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do live my life by that book.
I know you do. This is
How's
a Christian
going?
podcast.
I know that you had an exhausting tour, which I have, maligned and besmirched up and down. And then you came back and then you lied or laid fallow for 45 seconds. And then you went out last night and you played in two bands. You did a show with Don't Stop or We'll Die, Townland, and Sloppy Boys. And of those three bands, you played in two of them.
That's correct. Yes. And then on this past Saturday, I also played with Jonah Ray. So, in the past 2 weeks, I've played with four bands, I guess. And, tour was great, but it was very long and I was ready to get home and rest for a little bit. And, that's not really happening.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to say no when people ask me to play shows, apparently.
Didn't your arm almost explode on an airplane or something?
Well, out of context, that sounds real crazy, but yeah, that's kind of accurate. Yes, but that was a long time ago and there was some issues after I broke my arm and it got infected and all that. So yeah,
but
that was 2009.
In context, it also was a crazy story. And if people would like to know the crazy story, go back and listen to my entire back catalog, specifically the episodes with Tony Thack. Lick it.
The entire thing, though. You've been telling the story in 1 minute increments over the years, and you can finally get the full tale.
Alison, Rosen, Alison's your new best friend.
Let's not gloss over the fact that I just said lick it when I was trying to say look it. I said lick it. Lick it, people. Look it, people. I can definitely tell you it's not on an episode that doesn't have Tony. So it's on an episode with Tony. It's on an episode where he was the main guest. And I just don't remember if it was which one.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was
sure
just,
either.
I don't think it was just a Patreon episode.
Yeah. I think it was kind of early days of me working for you, 2018, 19? When was it? I don't know. Something like that.
It was in
Probably
this
19.
studio.
Yeah.
So that doesn't narrow it down.
Yeah.
Look, all I know is you have a gnarly scar, and I did say it that way on purpose. You have a big scar on your arm from when your arm almost exploded because you don't know how to say no. And I am trying to help you by making you feel guilty about playing drums so in all these bands, and it's not working. So I'm going to have to kick it into a higher gear.
Okay. Are you threatening to give my arm another infection? Is that where this is going?
I didn't even give your arm the first infection.
Well, I know, but that's why it almost exploded before, was because of an infection. So it's going to take an infection to make my arm explode, is what I'm saying.
You don't know that for sure.
That's true. I'm not a doctor.
That's right. And I'm not one either. But I'm just saying, if your arm has been weakened, you already flew too close to the sun. And both metaphorically and literally in an airplane, that's when this happened. Maybe it was because of cabin pressure.
Well, to be fair, it was before I got on the airplane.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so your arm nearly exploded and then you got on a plane with your gross arm.
Yes. All wrapped up and got picked up immediately and went straight to the doctor.
And then, because you're crazy, you continue to use... For me, I would be like, okay, I'm going to never use this arm ever again.
Well, you
can't stop using it.
This was pre-working also in podcasting days, and all I know how to do is play drums, especially back then. That was a moment of panic of what if this arm, what if I can't use it anymore? I don't know how to do anything else.
So you had to squeeze out all the use of it?
Yeah, exactly.
But put that sentence in order. Make it make sense.
Yeah, I'll edit this all together and make it perfect. Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to say is it's nice to have you back.
It's good to be back, even though it's Zoom.
I know.
I
Look,
had to get it in there.
I know. And on the most recent Thursday episode, right before the show started, your equipment didn't work, your audio equipment, and you had a very wee fit. That sounded so British, didn't it? I feel like they would say that across the pond when they're taking the piss. And you used some foul language. And I didn't think it was very bad at all. However, afterwards, you sent an email apologizing for your grouchy mood. And I was like, that wasn't necessary. And then I was looking at the clip. And, you know, Instagram is forcing us all to do reels and stuff. And I was like, what if I trimmed this and made a little clip and put it on Patreon? I mean, sorry, not put it on Patreon. Put it on Instagram and was like, you guys, if you subscribe to Patreon, this is what you get to see. Because everyone on Patreon gets to see the full Thursday video.
Oh, shit.
I didn't do it, though. I was going to get your permission first.
Oh,
but I was going to show people what Tony's like when he's really letting it all hang out.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, look, I was excited to be back, but then it was just immediately frustrating with technical issues. And I got annoyed, and I didn't want anyone to think I was upset at them or something. Yeah. But yeah, it was annoying.
I understand. I'm just saying, I have blackmail. I have compromat.
Yes, with a thing that you literally just said wasn't that bad. So.
Maybe I might have just said that to make it seem better.
Smart.
Anyway, enough of this bullshit, if you will. We have a guest sitting here, and I just looked down at the time, and my God, I can't believe that I have wasted this much time of our guest's evening. I'm very excited to welcome this gentleman back to the show. He has a brand new special that everyone, please, whatever you're doing, take out your phone is presumably out if this is where you're listening to it, or if you use a paper calendar, whatever kind of device you use to remember upcoming things. I need you to circle April 14th or set a reminder or write it on your friend's hand and then don't let your... April, August, they're all the same.
Whatever
August
you
14th.
do, just remember April 14th.
August 14th, August 14th, August 14th. If you say it 3 times, then it really sticks. August 14th, his special is coming out on YouTube. I had the pleasure of watching it last night. It was so funny. I laughed out loud many times. He is a comedian. You know what, Tony? I need to take a moment. I'm a professional who's been doing this for a long time, but you know when you say a word over and over, how it loses meaning?
Mm-hmm.
I have gotten to that point of doing introductions where I can't remember anymore. Do I give the person's credits and then say their name at the end, or do I say the person's name and then give their credits?
No. You got to say the name last.
Okay. So I give the whole spiel, and then the people are like, I can't take it anymore. I've got to know their name. And then I say, please put your hands together for so-and-so, so-and-so.
Yeah, you keep them on the edge of their seat.
Okay.
Like, ooh, who is it? Who is it?
All right. He's got a very funny special coming out August. But now when do I say the name of the special?
Now that's your... I can't get involved with that.
He's got a very funny special coming out. And that should have come at the end. All right. He was one of the stars of Chelsea Lately. He's one of the founders of the very innovative Nowhere Comedy Club. He's the host, head writer, and executive producer of Idiotest on Game Show Network and Pluto TV. He is featured on Disney Plus's Just Beyond. You can see him on The Young Turks. He's a political commentator. He's all over the place. He also ran for president, and he's been on my show a number of times. Please put your hands together for Ben Gleib. Hello. How did that feel? I've lost my ability to do intros, and I never really had it anyway.
It felt really good. You skipped the name of the special part. That's the only thing that you missed. But I think I can say it, maybe, or you can say it.
I want to say it, and then I want you to say it.
Sure.
I just want to say to everyone, that thing I said about April, forget that. Nothing good happens. April's the cruelest month.
Showers
nothing good
April,
happens.
Rains.
Yeah, April's stupid.
April's dumb.
on August 14th, you are going to be watching The Mad King on YouTube. It's Ben's special. How was that?
Yes, that was really, really great. I don't know if I want to remember the name, but it sounds good. I'm going to watch in April something called the Making.
No, The Mad King.
I'm missing that up.
The Mad King.
The Mad King.
August, like a king who's mad.
Oh, I understand. Now I get it.
The name comes from the fact that you call your devoted following, or maybe they called themselves this, the Mad Ones. Explain how this came about, because, and I know this from watching, they think, let me see if I can phrase this correctly. It's late in the day on Friday. I'm very tired. I am hoping you'll interview yourself and I can and I think you'll relate to this having now seen your special. I'm hoping I can take a nap. I think we both have the same sort of.
Okay, now it sounds like you're saying that having seen my special, it made you want to take a nap. And I don't feel like that's the message.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, having seen your special, I know that you and I are both people who enjoy napping.
I do like napping.
And I'm saying that I am feeling like I do not have what it takes to, how can I put this? That doesn't, I just feel that I don't know that I can rise to the moment right now, but I'm going to be able to.
I think you can.
I can do it.
I'm on barely any sleep as well, and I think that I can.
I know. Now, why are you?
Both of us.
Okay, so my two questions, and I'm going to throw them out at the same. I have more than two. Don't worry. Okay. But right now, there's two on my mind, and I'm going to throw them out before I forget them. I need to know why you got no sleep. A, and B, where did this whole Mad Ones come about? Because as I know from your special, for the Mad Ones, your followers, listeners, fans, you are their Grateful Dead. What?
I guess so. Yeah, they travel around and come to my live shows all over the country, all over North America even. They see multiple of my shows. The name came about in a couple of ways. I created during the pandemic, like you mentioned in the intro, the world's first and I think best virtual comedy venue called Nowhere Comedy Club. And I created a show that I do there regularly called Gleib Off the Top Crowdwork and Improvised Madness. I improvise it every week, and it's a mad, weird show. And the attendees of the show come week after week, or now I do it about once a month, and they really seem to love it. And the show's just very wild and weird and mad, and we embrace a good kind of madness. And I've always loved the Kerouac quote, "The only people for me are the mad ones." Mm-hmm. Mad to speak, mad to talk, mad to celebrate, mad to do all the things. I'm butchering the quote, but I always love the sentiment of people that are just mad to experience life in every way, that good definition of mad. So I started calling them the mad ones, and they started calling me the Mad King in this show. And so I do a lot of virtual filters in this virtual show, not in my special. And so I started putting this like virtual crown on. At the end of it, I'd say this very stupid phrase, "Extravaganzasm prepared." And the mad ones shout, "Extravaganzasm advanced." And it's just very fun, weird little community. The show takes place in Madtown. It's this global virtual community. And I elect a mayor during the shows, and anybody that's listening can feel free to come to one of them and be part. You instantly, the town's very welcoming, and you become part of this town, part of this community. And it continues all week on Facebook and a fan group and the Mad Ones Town Council of Elders and Youngers, which includes everybody. We want to make sure we're very inclusive.
I'm sorry. What is the extravaganza quote?
"Extravaganzasm prepared." And then
extravaganzasm?
Extravaganzasm, correct. Like an extravaganza mixed with an orgasm.
Right. And then what do they say?
"Extravaganzasm advanced."
Got it.
You see, I prepare it and they advance it.
I see. Mm-hmm.
And so that's a little bit of the origins of that. Plus, as you've now seen the special, you're the only person that has seen the special outside of my immediate team.
Oh my God. How many people are on your team?
Not that many these days. Probably like on the special, maybe like 8 people or something.
So I'm like number 9. I can handle that.
Number 9. Plus the live audience that saw it, but they didn't see the final cut. You're the first to see the final cut outside of the immediate team.
Okay, good. I want to feel special.
And it's not quite the final cut, actually, but very close to it. That's part of why I was up all night tweaking.
Oh.
But anyway, and so that is that part of it. But also, as you see in the special, like I get pretty mad about a lot of things going on in the world. I get pretty intense. And also I talk about my own therapy and my own madness and losing my shit in a fight I got into in a parking lot, and that's not normal. That's a bit mad. So all of that, I kind of have both like the anger about things going on the planet, but also my own internal madness and a good, fun Willy Wonka-esque kind of madness as well, which I love and try to keep that silliness in my life as well. And then plus the fact that, I ran for president and I did not win. And so I figured, why not just declare yourself king, since you can define terms now in this world. There's no more truth. And I talk about that in the special too. This post-truth era, you can just define your own terms. So why not call yourself the Mad King? And also it's a little bit of a needle towards Trump as well, who thinks he actually is the king and is trying to still, cling to power that he lost a long time ago.
If you had won the presidency, would you still be doing my show today?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That is the right answer.
Absolutely, I would.
So you came on my show during your run for president.
I did.
And I remember we talked about the fact that when I heard you were running for president, and I think that a lot of people initially, when they heard, they thought this must be a joke because you're a comedian. Obviously, like, you're politically active, but at the same time, you're a comedian. So this must be like when Colbert, ran. But actually,
one of those bullshit campaigns.
Yeah. A stunt. But in talking to you, I learned that no, you were taking it quite seriously. In looking back on it, how do you feel about it now? Like, do you wish that you had won?
No, I'm very glad that I didn't win in retrospect, because I was only running to make sure we defeated Trump, and we did do that. And so there's at least some semblance back towards normalcy and democracy. Like, I definitely am into politics. I don't talk direct politics in the special. I mean, maybe a little bit of social issues and political issues a little bit. I don't mention Trump's name ever in it, very intentionally. But I just think he's an existential threat to the country, to all of our peace of mind, to all of us having to chill lives for the whole planet, really, because he's just like is unleashing so much garbage. And so I just literally was being kept up at night thinking that if I didn't try, I thought maybe a comedian would be needed to take down a heckler that is him. And I knew that in debates I'd be able to crush him, because he's a heckler. He talks shit more than he is a policy person. And there's nothing I'm better at in this world than destroying hecklers and putting them in their place. And so I figured I could be of service in that way. But when the campaign ended and then Biden got the nomination, I mean, I was speaking at it. I don't know how early. I can't remember how early in the campaign I was on your podcast, but I think it was after I was on your podcast, and probably it was the bump from your podcast that did this. But I was all of a sudden then getting these like really major things, like Larry King interviewed me.
Oh yeah, the Rosen bump. I did that.
Yeah, the Rosen bump.
I called up Lair. I called up LK.
Yes.
You're welcome.
I spoke at events on the campaign trail, many of them with the other major candidates. I followed Biden and Bernie and Warren on stage at the AFL-CIO convention and got a standing ovation. So we finally got to resonate in a very serious way. This is one of the newspapers that defines what candidates get taken seriously in one of the two most important early voting states of New Hampshire, the Nashua Telegraph. Look at the front page I have on my wall here of the Nashua Telegraph.
Comedian Ben Gleib campaign. Now I'm just seeing my face because I was talking. This is a Zoom thing. You read it, Ben.
The comedian Ben Gleib campaigns for presidency on the cover. But that all said, I'm very glad it worked out where I did not have to have the responsibility of that. I'm a comedian at heart. I just want to be a funny person. But I also got to achieve my goal. I ended up getting to advise the Biden campaign on his debate strategy. And then Biden came out, if you remember, really strong in those last couple debates and was like saying, "Shut up, man," like to a sitting president.
Yeah.
And ended up winning. And so I think I did my part, and I got to return to being a very stupid idiot. And
wait, how did you
making light of the world?
Yes, I remember he was like, "Oh, would you just shut up, man?" And that was like a very strong moment for him.
Yes.
That and the fly that buzzed around Pence's head are a couple moments that I'll never
on his
forget.
head and was there for like 5 minutes.
I know. Do you watch Westworld? What was that fly doing?
I know. I did watch the first season and a half until it just became like, now they're just stretching.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of stuff that happens with flies in the current season.
The fly on the eye, right?
Oh, the fly plot has really extravagant.
The fly becomes a robot
advanced.
or something, right?
I can't even begin to tell you what's happening with it's you've missed so much. Let's just say there's so much. in this season, flies are used to like control what people do.
Ooh.
Yeah, flies. So I'm just saying that fly, who knows what it was doing with Pence. Okay, but back to, wait, so how did you advise Biden?
I just ended up becoming part of this group that I am not at liberty to talk about in more detail, but I became part of this group that had a direct line, somebody from his campaign, and during the debates, I would, in real time and afterward, get to give some pretty strong feedback, and I think it helped them. I hope they implemented it. I can't say for positive that they delivered it right to Biden's ears, but I would think that they did.
You were like a joke writing team for Biden, or like a kitchen cabinet inside the cabinet, like a glass inside his cabinet.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. It was pretty fun, but I'm very glad that, and then the pandemic hit like right after. And so I just was so burnt out on all things politics and all things serious that I like went the other way and became this like silly, like I said, virtual comedian with face filters. And I play robots and monsters, and I turn into celebrities and do impressions, and am just silly. I became a prop comic for a minute and was just like the opposite of anything serious. I think I needed it just for my sanity.
Can I ask you one more debate question, and then we can move on from that? Where were you during the debate?
Virtual. Is all virtual.
Okay. So like you'd like hear something and then like send a text or something?
No, we were like all on a thing. We were all on a live kind of.
I know you can't talk about it, but it's killing me to not know.
Thing.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, when you came over in the middle of your presidential run, you were in a suit. I was like, who is this politician in my house?
Yeah.
You had completely morphed.
I think I was myself, but I was just trying to show that I can clean up and I can be a respectable leader if the nation wanted me to be. I didn't want people thinking, well, he's not, look, he's a comedian and he's unshaven and he's dressed like a bum. There's no way. I wanted them to realize, like, yeah, also every president wears jeans and is unshaven when they're not doing a thing. And so I just wanted to show that I have a serious side that I could turn up if needed to, help save the planet or whatever.
So
some bullshit like that.
So let's talk about your special now.
Sure.
When did you film it and where? And even though I just asked a question, I'm going to shove in a statement, which is, I thought it was so funny. And I really liked the stuff about the pandemic. I have wondered, how are comedians going to handle the pandemic? Because I think like a lot of people who've lived through it, I don't really feel like, and like the feedback I get whenever I talk about it on my show, people are like, I don't want to hear about it. And I'm like, well, suck it. I'm going to talk about it anyway because I'm living through it. But at the same time, like there's this sort of COVID fatigue. And yet I loved the material you did about it.
Thanks. Thank you. So I recorded it due to the glacial pace of all things entertainment industry in January, the end of January. So it's been 7.5 months since I recorded it. And, Helium Comedy Studios produced it. They're an amazing comedy club chain that has now started a TV production company, and they're producing a bunch of specials. And so they're editing a bunch at the same time. So I understand that it took a minute, but, mine is one of the first 4 that are coming out, all around the same time. Alonzo Bowden, Jade Catapretta, Randy Feltface, and mine are the first 4. About the pandemic stuff, like how do I write this? How did I write that stuff? Are you saying, or
no? Where did you do it?
In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I mean, yeah, I didn't. That wasn't specifically my question, but I guess. Is that my question? Is that my question?
I mean, look, I think the pandemic obviously is something that a comedian can't avoid mentioning in an hour special when we just lived through 2 years of the most surreal, strange time in life possible. And I just, tried to come at it with a lot of the frustration we all feel. And I tried to make that section just as laugh out loud, like funny as I could. I'm not trying to talk, policy about the pandemic. Right. I'm trying to just point out the absurdity. We all were like adjusting on the fly to very, very strange time. And we were doing a lot of stupid things that in retrospect, just even a year later, don't make any sense. And it's very fun to point that out.
I had forgotten about like wearing a mask outside when there's no one around and walking in the middle of the street because you're not going to take a chance on the sidewalk. I completely forgot about that.
And it just felt a little bit, it was our one bit of control. For me, I was walking the street, I was kind of like, I'm a little bit of an outlaw. Like, the world might be ending, but there's no cop that is going to be stopping us for walking in the middle of the street. And I would walk with alcohol every night. My now fiance had a glass of wine. I had a beer or a cocktail, sometimes literally double fisting, walk in the middle of the street. And that was the one joy we had. I was like, well, at least we can do open containers outside like it's Louisiana or Mexico up in here.
Yeah. Do you remember I came over and was a guest on your podcast? Do you still do that podcast?
I do, but I do it very sporadically. Last Week on Earth, I have not done it recently, and so it's almost not even worth plugging, but I will be bringing it back soon. I just don't know exactly when.
I was an in-person guest on your podcast in February of 2020, and we talked about news, and one of the news stories was a coronavirus on a ship, and I remember talking about they call it a coronavirus because of the shape of the crown. Yeah, I mean, and then I remember I left my glasses at your house, and we picked them up like on our way home from Elliot's soccer, which is, I think probably that was like the last or almost the last time that he ever had an in-person soccer thing with that group. And then it like all rapidly shut down. It was it was probably like one of the last in-person podcasts I was a guest on before it all got shut down. It's so crazy.
It's just so weird. We've just been through a thing. I don't think we've at all processed yet the psychic trauma of the whole thing. I think it really is like kind of changed me in some ways. I think it's just changed a lot of people. It's just, I think it's cut out a lot of the bullshit. I think it's probably made me less patient with some things. It's made me less wanting to deal with people wasting my time with, I fired my longtime manager. I realized like how fragile things are, and I'm not getting any younger, and I just don't have patience anymore for people that repeatedly kind of let you down. I, parted ways on a couple friendships that were just toxic repeatedly for years and years and years. And I just said, like, I can't do that anymore. Like, although I'm kind of opening the door to both of those again a little bit, but you understand the point.
Yeah. What is the relationship between, even though I sort of suspect I know, but can you talk more about the relationship between how the pandemic led you to feel like maybe it's time to cut out some toxic relationships?
Yeah, it's just when you're just faced with your own mortality, when you literally, there was that real fear part where we thought we might die, where we thought, I got coronavirus very early. I lost my sense of smell. Ended up leading to a blood clot that,
oh my God,
almost killed me. Like if I had, almost killed me, but the doctor said that if I waited one more day, it very likely would have went up to my body and caused a stroke or heart attack.
Jesus.
And I just very luckily, caught it in like barely in time, because my lady made me make a doctor's appointment and saved me really. And my dad pushed me towards that too. And, it's just, you just all of a sudden see all this junk, and it made me just value the people that are like real and are close to you and that really love you and that you really love more than superficial relationships, a lot more. And, I'm not fully cured, but like, I still love entertaining. I still love throwing big parties, but even my parties are like way more small, way more intimate big parties. Like I used to invite anybody that I was friendly with that I liked in this business. I'd invite like 450 people to my birthday parties, and they would take over my house and just run amok. And then during the pandemic, when life came back briefly before it shut down again, I maybe had like 150 people coming through the house, which was pretty crazy and probably too many. And then I had a birthday party just recently, and it was like 30 or 40 people, and that's pretty unusual for me. You were still on the invite list, of course.
Thank you. And can I tell you the irony? The reason I wanted to come so bad, and I really don't want to fall off your invite list. Don't take me off, please. You're
close because you don't come ever.
I
so
know.
You're getting close.
I know. I'm right on the bubble. But anyway, the reason I didn't come is because we were going to Tucson to visit Daniel's dad. And I was like, I just want to be really safe and like, not expose myself or anything before we go there.
That was a good reason.
Fucking got COVID there.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. So we go there. And Daniel's dad did not get it, though. He's the only one who didn't get it. My 3-year-old got it first, and then my 5-year-old, and then my mother-in-law, and then we drove back. And then Daniel and I didn't get it for days and days and days. And I was like, we're not going to get it. Like, we're fine. And then 7 days later, Daniel got it. And then I felt sick, but I was still testing negative. And then I woke up one morning, and I'm like, I amazingly feel better. Like I really am special and my immune system is really kicks ass. I truly am blessed. And then I took a test and I was positive. And I thought, but I think I'm over the hump, but I was not. The hump was in front of me. And then I started feeling like really bad for a number of days. So yeah, just the irony though. I'm better now. Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
But just the irony of like, I don't want to go to your party because I'm afraid of getting it. And then we go there and I end up getting it. So yeah, it sucked.
Two people had it here, it turned out, or two or three people.
Oh, really?
And I had to tell everybody. So that's not.
Oh, that would have freaked me out.
But I mean, luckily now it's the mild COVID for almost everybody.
Yes. Although the strain that we had, so we had it like a month ago. For me, it was not mild. It didn't feel mild. Like it's very, it feels very like whack-a-mole. Like some people, I know people who've had it. I know a lot of people who had it around the time that I had it, and they also felt like they were very sick. But then I hear of people who are like, yeah, it was just like cold symptoms for a day. So I don't know what determines whether, I don't know if it's at the strain or if it's the viral load or what, but
all I'm saying is Biden got it twice back to back and he's up and around and he's like 300 years old. So it's not as strong as it once was.
This is well, for sure it's not. I mean, and it's not affecting people's breathing. So wait, let's go back to this blood clot that almost took you out.
Yes.
What happened?
I was starting Nowhere Comedy, which was a pretty big endeavor. And then my now fiance started a company that I was working with her around the clock, also helping her get off the ground, called Save Our Graduation, because they were canceling graduations everywhere. And we realized that with everything we had learned about running virtual comedy shows and recreating the feeling of a live show by producing on top of Zoom, we could do the same with live graduations and give these kids still a graduation. But we were not, neither of these businesses were funded. We're doing them all completely bootstrapped. And I was working like 16-hour, 17, 18-hour days and just stupidly sitting down the entire time and not even like getting up to take a break or walk around for 5 minutes. And that's what leads to a blood clot. And all of a sudden, just one morning randomly, and I hadn't barely moved, so it didn't make sense. I had like a very sore calf or sore back of my right leg. But it lasted a week. Like that happens sometimes to last for like an hour or a day.
Yeah.
It lasted for like 7 days. And it was just kind of like, mild, but pretty annoying. And then I went on like day 6 or day 7, I went to the Black Lives Matter protest. This is still during the pandemic, but everybody risked it. And we went out and with hundreds of thousands of people. And I walked 4 miles that day in that march and came home and felt fine. And the next day I woke up and I couldn't walk.
Oh, wow.
My leg was like in extreme pain. I was like hobbling around. And that's when Carmel made sure I made a doctor's appointment. It was a virtual appointment. And the doctor said, come in tonight. You got to come in tonight. And I, instead of going straight to the doctor, went to a Moobies pop-up event to go hang with my buddy Kevin, my buddies Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes at their pop-up restaurant, because I wanted to go say hi and hang out. And that was the night I ended up meeting, or the day I ended up meeting Rosario Dawson too, which led to this great working relationship together, where she and I ended up producing the Telethon for America together and hosting it together virtually in 2020 with Alyssa Milano and all this cool stuff. So I'm glad I went. But I went to this like casual event and had like an alcoholic drink out of a Capri Sun pouch and had like fried chicken. And I'm taking all these photos and interviewing with Kevin, hanging out. And then someone was like, this actress I did some movies with was like, do you want to come next door? We're going to a bar. And I'm like, should I go? And Carmen's like, we should probably go to the hospital. I'm like, all right. Went to the hospital straight. And they were like, if you waited another hour, you might have died. Like, thank God you came now. I took the ultrasound or the MRI. I don't remember what it was. And they called me as I was walking out of the ultrasound room. They called and said, whoa, stop. You need to immediately go and get injections of blood thinners.
Wow.
And they put me on 7 days of blood thinner injections twice a day, being injected in the stomach, and then 3 months of blood thinners after that. And if it ever came back or comes back, I'd have to be on blood thinners for life. Thank God it hasn't yet. And I've had a couple scares where I'm like, why does my leg feel weird? Am I going to be on pills the rest of my life? And if I get a paper cut, I'm going to bleed out and die. And luckily that has not happened. So knock on wood.
When you talked to the doctor in the virtual appointment, did they suspect it was, and they told you to come in, did they suspect it might be a blood clot?
Oh, he thought it probably was. He thought it was a good chance. Just for even
Did he tell you that?
Yeah, looking at it blue, like looking at it through the video, it looked like blue and kind of a little bit like bulbous or whatever. And they were like, it looks a little weird. Obviously, I can't tell on video, but I would come in urgently.
And at that point, you thought, I'm going to go hang out with Rosario Dawson and have chicken?
Yep.
What were you thinking? That came out more judgmental than I meant.
No, I'm fine with that. I like being challenged. It was after, I don't know how many months lockdown at that point. It was like 5-6 months. We were finally like a little bit allowed to go out. And I was very much looking forward to this. And, I'm in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie. I'm part of that world. I don't ever get to go to events like that. There haven't been events in forever, let alone one with like some of my favorite people and these icons, and I got to go hang in a very small, intimate, invite-only group. And I'm like, I'm going to pop by there on the way to the hospital. And I did it. And I don't know if I regret it or not, but it led to this photo. This photo was taken that day. I mean, that's kind of cool.
That is very cool.
Stop groceries, me, Kevin, and Jay Muse.
There you go.
So I think it's worth it. If I had died, it's a pretty good way to go out.
Well, listen, I can't think of a better segue to talk to you about life insurance. We pay hundreds of dollars per year to protect our homes, our cars, and even our phones, but too many of us aren't taking steps to protect our family's finances. Mortgage payments, private student loans, and other types of debts don't just disappear if something happens to you. A life insurance policy can provide your loved ones with a financial cushion they can use to cover those costs, and it can provide you with peace of mind that even in worst case scenarios, for example, Ben, like what you're just describing, if it had gone south, they'll be protected. Life insurance typically gets more expensive as you age, so it's smart to get a policy sooner rather than later. Policy Genius is an insurance marketplace that makes it easy to compare quotes from top companies like AIG and Prudential in one place to find your lowest price on life insurance. You could save 50% or more on life insurance by comparing quotes with Policy Genius. Options start at just $17 per month for $500,000 of coverage. Just click on the link in the description or head to policygenius.com to get personalized quotes in minutes and find the right policy for your needs. The licensed agents at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies. They're on hand throughout the entire process to help you understand your options so you can make decisions with confidence. Policy Genius doesn't add on extra fees. Your personal info is private. Policy Genius doesn't sell your details to third parties. Policy Genius has thousands of 5-star reviews across Google and Trustpilot. Policy Genius has options that offer coverage in as little as a week and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Since 2014, Policy Genius has helped over 30 million people shop for insurance and placed over $150 billion in coverage. Head to policygenius.com to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. Again, that's policygenius.com. Okay. So tell me more about founding Nowhere Comedy Club.
So right when the pandemic hit, and it was so weird because I had like this very brief window. I mean, obviously everybody had these 2 years that were kind of thrown in the garbage, but I had a whole year before that away from my normal life too, running for office. And so I hadn't been a normal comedian now still for like 3 years plus. And there was a brief window in between from January 1st or December 31st, 2019 through mid-March when the world shut down, where I was like trying to reemerge into my normal life. And I had this crazy night at the Comedy Store, even with Chappelle, this like very insane experience, very cool time. And I finally felt like, oh, okay, I'm like totally back. This is fine. I went in that day feeling not good, and it changed. And I felt like, wow, I'm like fully back where I was and I feel good about things. And then the world shuts down and all ability to make money for comedians disappears. All entertainment venues shut down for the globe. And I honestly wouldn't have been able financially to survive it if I didn't think of something. So, desperation's the mother of invention, as they say. And I just thought, I cannot not tour for the next long amount of time. What do I do? And I just closed my eyes for a second and I thought, there has to be a way, with how amazing technology is these days, to create the experience of performing at a live venue on your computer. And I just thought about it for a minute and I was like, if we just found the best video conferencing platform for it and let the audience keep their mics on and let them keep their cameras on and just like manage it, produce on top of it and make sure that they don't create disruptive sound, I bet that would feel very similar to performing live. And that was the premise. And I called my friend Steve Hofstetter, who's like amazing at executing business ideas, because I've had, as I'm sure many of us have, multiple billion-dollar ideas that then get done by somebody else or appear elsewhere in the world. Yeah. And I'm like, gosh darn it, I thought of electric cars, for crying out loud. I could have been a billionaire naming my son Zil.
But it's like my friend Corinne is like, I invented striped shirts. Did you really? She's like, I invented that.
I've never seen a swimsuit photo from the 20s.
I know. She invented that.
How old is your friend?
She is surprised. She's deceptively young looking.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So she's very old. Got it. Mm-hmm. And so we just cooked up this plan, and we started first as this live stream free show on YouTube and Facebook called the Social Distancing Social Club. SDSC became this kind of big thing and got this cult following and kind of created this community that people like really latched onto during this very hard time. And people that, we were getting emails every day that like this was like saving people's lives. Like they didn't know if they would have gotten through the pandemic without this community. And then we took it further and thought, well, what if we take my idea of turning it into an actual comedy club instead of a free live stream show, create an actual venue. You can buy tickets and you can be part of a show. And we did it. We launched it. And within a short matter of a few weeks, we all of a sudden were doing shows with from up and comers to the biggest names in comedy. We've to this day done over 650 shows, millions of dollars of revenue for comedians that weren't able to make money during the pandemic, created this whole community where people could actually see live events, often more intimately than they would at a club. You normally aren't going to get to interact with these people. And we've had, shows from Bill Burr and Sarah Silverman. And we ended up building a studio in my home that's just a few feet over there, a full-on production studio.
What's weird is I have this vague memory. I'm wondering, is it a real memory or is it like a video that I saw? That it does not bode well, that I can't tell the difference. What is that? But I feel like when I was but this would have been in February, so it was before the pandemic. Yeah. But I feel like when I was at your house and you were giving me like a little tour, you showed me a room that was a movie room,
yes,
or like a theater, and you like were sort of showing me that you were creating a something or other that I think is what you must have turned into Nowhere Comedy Club. But were you starting to build out something where you could like perform in front of a screen?
I was not yet building that out, no, but I showed you, it was just a movie theater screening room that I had in my house, and I would just watch stuff there. And it became, we built it way out, and instead of the one screen, we ended up having 3 screens. So you're surrounded by 30 feet of video walls.
Were there like news videos about like, look at Nowhere Comedy Club, they've built? Yes. Okay, so in my mind, I've merged,
and tons on my social and New York Times
so I've conflated my experience there with cameras showing the thing, so that in my mind, you showed it to me. Wonderful that that's happening to me.
Your brain has now jumped the shark. There's no turning back. Post-truth era is official. I'm not even here right now. I'm a digital avatar, just so you know.
I know. Okay. Now, I realize that it's going to be hard for you to answer this question honestly, given that you have a vested interest since you own and founded Nowhere Comedy Club, which the premise is it's the same as being in person, but
close to not the same. After Bill Burr performed here, and I'd sold him on this is so close to being in person, and I'm walking him to his car after he just performed for 2,500 people in Australia, New Zealand. I said, "So what do you think?" And he goes, "Was it just like performing in person? No fucking way." But I go, "Okay, was it way better than performing these drive-in shows, comic where they honk at you?" He goes, "Way fucking better, not even comparable. This was amazing." And then he ranted about it on his podcast for 5 minutes about how much he loved it and how real it felt. So go ahead with your question, but I just wanted to get that in there right quick.
Well, that pretty much answered it. I mean, the question was just going to be for Tony, who hates Zoom so much. And I have to agree, Zoom does not really hold a candle to in person. I just wanted to know, like, how close do you feel like it gets to in person?
It gets very close. I mean, Zoom on its own, yes, for sure. But that's what the magic we created was. And we literally we kind of created an industry. We reinvented what touring can be. And us and this other company became the two leaders of this like brand new industry. And they don't even try to recreate live, and we're the only ones who do. I mean, with this big New York Times profile that's featured on my wall, and they're right there in the studio.
And it's because you're seeing the faces of the audience big and hearing them. That's
right. I just wanted to solve for every issue that was wrong with Zoom and that people complain about, but not just for the performers, for the audience as well. So what we do is there's 30 feet of video screens, but even a lot of the performers don't come to the studio. They still perform from their home computer, but we produce it. It's all in the producing. It's all in the details. Everything is in the details in life, right? If you just log on to a thing and do it, then it's kind of boring. But so when it's in studio, we also have a backstage camera. So we cut to that. We spotlight it so the audience can see the performer's view over the shoulder. So they can see that Bill Burr is seeing them. So now, and they see this beautiful studio that they're in. They're virtually in it, and they can tell the comics seeing it, and they feel part of this bigger thing. It's much bigger than just a box in someone's bedroom, you know? And so right there, they do it. We produce the sound. So we have all of them adjust their audio, the whole audience reduce their audio very low to the exact right level pre-show. We have rules and videos so that they can laugh and be heard, but the comedians still amplified above them like in a real venue. We have pre-show music. We have pre-show videos with set the rules, an exciting countdown. We have showroom manager. We have opening comics. And it's just, you hear the laughter. And so we've just solved for every issue. So when you do a show with us, you actually feel like we're the live crowd. We encourage people to laugh. The laughter doesn't disrupt the audio like it does on Zoom for people typically. We turn original sound on, a bunch of deep features that we do to ensure it's different. And that's how we've been able to keep, we have, I think Mike Birbiglia did like 30 shows with us.
Wow.
Todd Barry, Natasha Leggero. I mean, a million people. We had a lot of really great people. And then I created a monthly recurring show I did all pandemic long with Greg Proops.
Yes.
Called Greg and Gleib, It's a G Thing, and it was a two-man Whose Line Is It Anyway? And we would sell tickets to it. We'd do it once a month, and it was incredible. And it was so real. And we did a New Year's Eve show, and he got Scott Foley and Ryan Stiles to join us. And we had 300 people celebrating the new year with us. I did a recurring show. We're going to hopefully do it again soon, but I did it twice with John Cleese called Please Gleib Me Alone. John, I'm literally headlined an event or I had a recurring show with one of the great legends of all time in comedy, and him and his daughter Camilla Cleese and I host this 3-person show. I mean, John and I just did it together solo, or the two of us just once. And it's incredible playing games with the audience, taking questions, being silly, talking shit to each other. Like, he told me to shut up at some point, and then later he says he was rambling on some answer. I'm like, John, shut up, to one of the great legends. I turned red instantly. I couldn't believe I even said it. And you get to these experiences that just would not. Right when that ended, John called me. I think he said it live during the VIP meet and greet too after the show, but he called me right afterwards and he says, "You've created a new form of media. You've created a way that somehow this is a global performance where I felt connected to the whole audience and felt more intimate than any show I've ever done." We created something kind of special. It's kind of cool. And I speak about it so passionately because once the world opened up and because of Zoom fatigue, numbers have dropped way down. People don't want to attend virtual shows anymore.
Right.
And it's really hard to get them to do so. And so I'm trying to explain that this is different. This feels like a night out. And wouldn't you like to sometimes not spend $100 on babysitters and parking and getting all dressed up, or you can't get a babysitter, or people who live in remote areas, or disabled people with social anxiety that could never ever go and enjoy a live comedy club now can have a night out while staying in. You can get drunk, you can get a little high, you can do whatever you'd like to do, and not have to worry about drunk driving or all the expenses. You just get to chill and literally see a live show. One time only show. It'll never exist again. And it's private. It's not recorded. It'll never be seen again, but without leaving your house. It's something really cool.
Yeah. Plus the pandemic's not over. Hello.
Also true. Yeah. You won't let me come to your house. So there's that.
I know.
Don't get started on that.
What's that?
I said, don't get started.
I know Tony really, Tony really wants to do in person again. I really want to do in person. I just don't. I don't know how I'm living my life right now.
You just had COVID. You'll be fine for many months.
That's not true anymore. Now look at Biden.
That's because he did that
Paxlovid.
That Paxlovid.
No, but
A and B. If it comes right back, it's mild. It seems the second time, even more so. So it's like,
well, I know.
I mean, I hear you. I talk in the special. This is actually true about how I've given up handshakes. Like there are some things that have changed.
That was one of my favorite parts of the special. I laughed so hard during the handshake part. In fact, let's play a clip. Tony, nice. Play the pointless therapy clip.
All right.
Please.
Although I'm not even sure, honestly, the point of therapy with the world as it is now, We're living in a post-truth era of fake news on an anti-science, eroding democracy on a crumbling planet. I'm not sure my issues rank high on the list. It's like, Ben, the planet's becoming uninhabitable and our leaders are corrupt idiots, but let's talk about your sleeping in. Is that the issue, you sleep in? So it's important, it's good to analyze your life. Analysis is good, but don't overdo it. Don't worry about it too much. If analysis were that important, it wouldn't be made up of the words anal and ISIS.
So you say in the special,
August 14th.
You say in the special that you just recently started therapy. You had not done therapy before?
I had never done therapy before, about a year into the pandemic. And I was out of breath in that clip because it came right off of the story that I tell, which is one of the things that made me realize I needed to get into therapy. I got into a big fight and in a parking lot, and
a physical fight
takes a lot out of a physical fight, and it takes a lot out of me to tell that bit. And so for the next minute or two in the special, I was a little out of breath. But I started therapy. It's been great. It's really nice to be able to have a person who his entire job is they're forced to let you talk about yourself for an hour.
I'm a big fan of therapy. It's helped me immensely.
Are you still in therapy now?
Yeah. I have been sort of in and out for a while, but I've been in for ever since, let's see. I went back into therapy about 5 months after I had Elliot. So I've been back in for like 5 years now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And do you go in person or is it virtual?
Virtual now. I had started going in person again, and then I got COVID, so now I'm back to virtual because I'm scared again. But
the cool
what
thing
about you?
With the virtual, it's always been virtual. At the very beginning, she said I had the option to go to her office, but I chose not to. And for some reason, with my healthcare, if you do it virtually, they don't charge you. So I haven't paid 1 penny. I have been in therapy for a year and a half for free.
Nice.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. At the beginning, I was worried that I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like doing it virtually, but I find that it's like really, I've adjusted quite well to doing it virtually. It's like really kind of the same. It's
pretty similar to this, and I get that feeds your argument about not having people in your house, whatever. But that said, I just started talking about this on stage since I'm rapidly now trying to develop a new hour of material because I'm about to retire my current hour in just a couple days. My therapist is unlicensed. She's finishing.
She like a life coach?
No, she's a therapist, but she's finishing her studies, so she's with my healthcare provider. But they told me she's unlicensed, but she's good if you want. And then so I'm like, all right, fine, and she's good. But then sometimes she gives me advice that I was a little suspect, and I always want to call her out. I always want to be like, well, we all know you don't know what you're talking about. We all know this is not official yet. And then recently, all of a sudden we're doing virtual and she's in a different office. And I'm like, where are you? And she goes, they moved me to a smaller office. I'm like, that's not a good sign either.
No, that's not a vote of
confidence. They're like, they're shifting me mostly to casework now. And I'm just dealing with a few other clients and then a few patients. And whenever you feel like you're ready to graduate, if you ever need therapy again, it'll be with somebody else. I'm like, they're taking you out of therapy. And so.
Who's the they here?
Kaiser.
Oh, they.
And they also are always trying to push everybody out.
Yeah.
Too. It's a different approach to therapy there that I don't like as much. But I mean, it kind of goal oriented, so maybe it's good, but they're not making money off of it. So their goal is like, just give some quick tips and tell them they're fine and get them out of there.
So it's like cognitive behavioral therapy.
Kind of, as opposed to what kind?
All other kinds. All the other kinds. So wait a minute. Are they wrapping up with you? They're
not rushing me at the moment, but she was trying to finish me like a few months ago, and then I was like, no, I got a lot of problems still. I'm still very messed up. You can't. No,
you hang on to it. You hang on to it. I look at it like, it's almost like massage therapy. Like it just feels, if you can do it, it's both goal oriented and it feels good to do it every week.
Yes,
it like helps me to just dump my shit on someone and then move along.
And I end up like, I feel like I dominate the sessions too much and like don't let her kind of do her therapy enough. And like, I have a way of like kind of presenting things where I end up kind of, I don't know, getting what I want to hear sometimes. So I don't think it's the best, but like, so I went in there initially because I would just like, I was diagnosed, as I also talk about in the special, that I was diagnosed with ADHD during the pandemic during the pandemic. And I finally realized why I don't ever tackle my to-do list well, why I have an album that I recorded 7 or 8 years ago I still haven't released, why I don't get to major things. And so that was ostensibly why I started therapy, was to figure out how I can like fix this problem in my brain. But then I go in there and I talk about, I'm fighting with my dad. I'm fighting with my girlfriend. What do I do? And I ended up like just talking about all these like emotional, interpersonal things. And then she was like, I think you're ready to graduate. I'm like, what do you mean? We haven't even talked in 6 months about the main problem why I came here, which was my ADHD. I'm nowhere near done. She's like, all right, fine. They're packing my boxes up and pushing me out the door as a therapist, but sure, I'll keep talking to you.
She needs to give you a referral to someone else with someone with a bigger office.
But explain, I don't disagree with that, but how do you wrap somebody with more experience in therapy than I am? Maybe you can give me some guidance. How do you possibly wrap your head around telling somebody new everything again? I feel like she already knows every bit of my inner psyche. I'm going to do that all again?
I know that seems daunting.
Yeah.
But it is possible. And also, I know that this sounds like, how can that be? But they don't actually, to be helpful, they don't actually need to know every single thing. Like they can sort of they're pros. They can kind of jump in and meet you where you're at. And, like the first few sessions, of course, are always like getting to know. I think they call it like a cold intake. It's like getting to know you as, getting like the basic, all the details about your life and that kind of stuff and finding out like what's going on right now. So the first few sessions are going to be a retread, but then they can kind of help you with like the main things. They can help you with like the current stuff or whatever. And then, you catch them up over time. Like this is the therapist I have now is my third therapist. And I'd say over time, but this is going back, I went to my first therapist when I was in college. Over time, I've sort of filled all them in on all my stuff. But like,
you've had 3 therapists in 10 years?
I'm that young. No, I'm not that young. Yeah, it's thank you. I am that young.
I would have believed it.
Yeah, I know. I know that is daunting though. It is daunting to think of starting
over. Even if they
over.
can jump in, I wouldn't let them. I would my neurotic brain would need to tell them every thought I've had, every problem I've had, and every reason why I think I have it, and every roadblock I hit because of that, and just to get them up to speed. Otherwise, I feel like they're going to give me advice that won't be applying to my particularly messed up brain.
So then you do that. Then you will do that. That'll be okay.
Or I can just stick with this one person while she, during the session, is like putting like books in a cardboard box and measuring, see if she can get the couch out the door and stuff.
I mean, is she going to become not a therapist anymore?
No, she says that she presents it as she is trying to focus more on casework. She would like to do that. But they save the bigger offices for the therapists, and the casework doesn't need as much room. But she seems pleased about it as she presents to me. But then also she had this like beautiful view outside the new office of like trees and stuff. And this little garden is like kind of like forest looking view. And I'm like, that's beautiful. Must be very zen to at least have that. And then I noticed in our last session, it's a light box and it's not even a window. It's just a flippin' fake. So everything's a facade. I don't know who to believe anymore. My therapist is
she AI?
Oh my God.
Does she exist?
She really might be AI.
Interesting.
She's very stoic. Sometimes doesn't have the emotions I would expect a human to have.
There you go. Does she glitch?
I mean, when I talk, a lot of people glitch, but I don't hold that against them.
Let's do some questions that listeners sent in on Patreon. I'm on Patreon, patreon.com.
Patreon.
Alison Rosen. All sorts of fun stuff there. Bonus
episodes. I almost had a heart attack hearing that sound effect, by the way. I didn't expect. It's been an hour without any sound effects, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, a bunch of demons are yelling Patreon at me.
That might be the case. And have you ever been one of my bonus Patreon guests? Have I ever done a Patreon bonus episode with you?
I think I have. I think even the one when I was running for office, we did it in bonus right after. Is that possible?
Quite possible. Well, I'm going to have you back. So bonus episodes with your favorite guests. And then you can watch videos of the Thursday show, like where Tony had his just world famous shit fit. And there's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. I do live streams. Fun stuff. Patreon.com/Alison Rosen. And you can submit questions for my guests. And we have a song.
Questions from our fans.
All right. West Anthony says, the Charlie Kirk fetus fiasco was priceless. I enjoyed that as well. Are there any other conservatives you'd like to smack down? And now I think before answering that, you should tell them what he's referring to.
Sure. And I talk about it also in the special, but because I, do political things sometimes, I was invited by Charlie Kirk. He slid into my DMs one day and asked me if I would fly out to Arizona to his studio and debate him on his new series, Debate Night. And he had, I think, kind of famously invited Congressman Eric Swalwell to do it. And Swalwell instead just put him on blast by posting a screenshot of the DM and said, no, I won't go and debate an insurrectionist who's made my family less safe. And I instead thought, yes, I will go debate an insurrectionist. I will destroy him on his own show and make him walk out of his own studio. I got this guy to storm out of his own show. It was one of the highlights of my life. And I also negotiated that to be able to go, that I'd be able to shoot it also on my own iPhone and broadcast and put that up on my YouTube so they couldn't edit anything out, which he did edit out initially, him storming out. And I negotiated that it would fly me out, put me up in a nice hotel, pay for car service, and pay for my meals when I was there. And so after I got him to storm off and security escorted me out of the building, Carmel was there with me. We still had a driver all night, and the driver took us to the most expensive sushi restaurant we could find in Arizona, and we had a $270 sushi dinner on Charlie Kirk after I humiliated him for an hour 20. But the clip he's talking about was I had this one particular moment planned to just prove how much of a blowhard idiot he is and doesn't know what he's talking about. I pulled out a photo of a fetus and I said, do you truly in your heart of hearts believe this is a human being? And he goes, without a doubt. And I said, without a doubt? He goes, yes. I go, that's a dolphin fetus, Tony. And the look on his face was just glorious. He looked to his producer. He's like, oh my God, that's on camera. And that clip will never leave him. I think people will shout dolphin fetus at him the rest of his life, and thank God he deserves it. I have a picture painting of a dolphin fetus on the poster of my special. I wear it like a badge of honor, so very excited about
smart.
That. Thank you. And I also continued to hammer as he was embarrassed. I was going on a rant. I'm like, do you often confuse dolphins and human babies? Do you ever go to SeaWorld and think, oh my God, they've got a human baby in that aquarium? I just had a very fun run with it, and then released 20 more memes from that debate of me owning him in 10 to 30 second chunks Or you can watch the whole debate on my youtube.com/bgleib and watch the whole damn thing and just watch a guy get put in his place while learning a lot about abortion. Because I studied hard for it. I was getting advised by some really knowledgeable people, by Planned Parenthood, by NARAL, unofficially, gave me a lot of great advice and talking points and stuff. So that was cool. But so yes, other conservative. I mean, I would love so much to be able to sit down with Trump and just own him left and right. That'll probably never happen. Although he was just heckled at a golf course lately, at his own golf course. I just saw that clip. But I recently infiltrated QAnon. I will be dropping that video sometime soon. Yeah. This is like, I guess not even recently anymore now, pre-pandemic. I was it even pre-pandemic? No, it wasn't. It was at the end. It was after. It was when world opened back up. I did a mini tour at the end of 2021 and I was in Dallas doing shows. That's where the JFK Jr. sect of QAnon was, where they were meeting every day at the JFK assassination site. And they believe that any day now, JFK Jr. is going to come back.
Oh, right.
And either become president or become Donald Trump's running mate to run in 2024. I love just the very basic idiocy that somebody knows in their heart and believes that this person's going to come back from the dead, but doesn't know if they're going to be president or run on a ticket with somebody else.
Right.
Pretty amazing.
Right.
So I infiltrated them with hidden cameras, and I think I was probably going to drop that as like a uncut, like 40-minute descent into the mind of a bunch of very stupid people.
Wow.
I like kind of gained their trust, these 4 ladies, and I walk with them for like 30 minutes as they leave the site, and the things they share that they believe. And at the end, I present to them a piece of evidence that I fabricated in my hotel room in 1 minute, and then they end up believing it. And like,
did you say it was
amazing.
hidden cameras?
Yes.
So do you need to get releases or anything like that? Like, how does that work?
Well, the incredibly beautiful thing about the very stupid laws governing the very stupid state of Texas
you don't need to.
It's a one-party consent state,
okay.
which literally means I can film somebody and broadcast or do whatever I want with it as long as I know I'm recording.
So as long as no one has sprung it, as long as the camera didn't surprise you.
Yeah, as long as I'm not unaware or have amnesia that I'm filming myself, I'm all good. So that is to their detriment. And that's why often also hidden camera shows shoot in Vegas because they have the same law.
Right.
But also,
amazing.
I also just take chances sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
With Charlie Kirk, was your goal to get him to walk off, or was that just
No,
nice
my
gift?
goal wasn't to get him to walk off, but my goal was that if things got heated enough and got to the right moment, I was going to call him out on his having created and ginned up the insurrection on Jan 6. I mean, he funded it. It was the main sponsor. His Talking Points USA was the main sponsor of
but he was denying
the rally
it. Yeah.
on the Ellipse. Yeah, and he was denying it, but he did it and was encouraging people to go there and fight and sent buses of people to DC on Jan 6. And I just called him out on all of that and like very loosely tied it back into abortion as he stands on top of me with what looks like an erection in his pants. It's pretty strange. I literally think him talking about controlling women is the only thing that makes him hard. And he was standing over to shake my hand as he was about to storm off. Like he was done with the conversation. I keep making my point, and I'm like, "Oh, you don't take responsibility for Jan 6? You want people to cut you some slack? Maybe then. Oh, that kind of like how people should cut women some slack who fall into a situation they didn't plan, that they didn't want to be responsible for.
Right, the unintended consequences.
Yeah, I phrased it better. I'm not remembering now. It's been some time. But and then he just walked off. I stood up and shook his hand, and he stormed off and didn't let us finish the conversation.
Wait, do you think he actually had an erection?
I don't know. Did you see that clip?
Yes, and I wasn't looking at his crotch, but I am going to now go back and see if he did.
One of the memes we released, we zoom in on his crotch to show it. I mean, he stands up, and there's just a straight-on thing coming right out the middle of his pants. I don't know.
Because now I'm remembering I had Liz Winstead on.
I love her.
And there's something she was talking about, like some guy.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Was it him or was it like someone? I don't know if it was like a notable conservative or just like a, anonymous conservative yelling at a woman, but with a heart on. Like something that turned this guy on was like yelling at a woman about abortion, and like the guy had an erection. It's just like a vague memory. Right,
yeah.
Tony?
Yeah, I know. As Ben was telling the story, I was like, why is this familiar to me? Like, yeah. So yeah. I didn't remember it was Liz, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I also pointed out, speaking of erections and hypocrisy of anti-choice positions, is I called him a genocidal murderer. I said, if you think that truly, when something is a couple of cells, is a human baby, then you're a genocidal murderer every time you masturbate, Charlie. That's independent, autonomous little sperms swimming around by the millions that you're flushing down the toilet every time you masturbate.
What'd he say?
He just changed topics. He moves on. These people are very good at just diverting attention. What I'm good at doing is bringing them right back. So I was able to get him to answer stuff a lot more than most people usually do. But he was successful a few times at changing topics on me.
I'm surprised that they agreed to let you film it and air it yourself. Good for you for fighting for that. Now, who were you like negotiating with?
With his producer. I mean, Charlie initially DM'd, but then they put me in touch with his producer, and back and forth. Very nice lady. I mean, seemingly nice. And I just negotiated. I don't know why. They must have thought they were going to have a much easier time. Maybe hadn't done their research properly about how good I am at debating people or how much I know, because he thought he was going to be able to walk all over me. And so I think they just really wanted to have me on because I was making a lot of demands. You're paying for this. You're doing this. You're letting me record it. You're letting me put it up unedited. You're not allowed for your edit to take anything out of context. You can just cut out dead time, et cetera, et cetera. And they agreed to all of it. And I know people that did his debate night that didn't get any of that and didn't ask.
Was there anything they said no to?
I don't think there really was. I mean, I don't think there was. They pretty much capitulated on everything, and I'm very glad that worked out that way. You know, another big conservative that I've had a long-standing relationship with, and I don't really anymore, but I've owned many times on camera, is Tomi Lahren. I've enjoyed making her feel stupid, and I stormed off her show, and that's what ended our relationship. When I was running for office, I stormed off her show on Fox News in New York. I was on a panel on one of the debate nights with her and this other person whose brain is pretty small, and this guy Brandon Strzok. I don't even like saying his name. I don't know why I said it, but the founder of the Walkaway movement, who ended up being an insurrectionist and jailed for 9/11 for Jan 6. And I was like battling 3-on-1, and I was still owning these people. And that video is on my YouTube too. It kind of blew up recently, where I just systematically kind of crush all their Fox News talking points. My sentence ended early there. Sorry.
Have you heard from Charlie Kirk since?
No, but he still follows me on Twitter. So I think he's still got an eye. Tommy no longer follows me after that incident, but I've not heard from Charlie. But it was funny too, because they put up the whole debate and they just said debates, comedian Ben Gleib, and they cut out the whole end part, the whole bonus section where he storms off. But then after I posted it and it went kind of viral, then they posted another whole version of the whole debate where it says, Charlie Kirk humiliates so-called comedian Ben Gleib, and they have the whole thing up there. And it's like, how can you say so-called? You had me on your show and invited me. What if that just speaks to who you can't book then, I guess?
Right. So wait, I'm sorry, this is not important, but for some reason I'm stuck on it. So wait, is it standard though for them to fly the guests out and put them up in a hotel and all that, or was that something that like you got them?
No,
to
I think
do
that
for
was
you?
standard. That
is standard.
There was no pay, but they would pay for your expenses and fly you out.
Got it.
That was standard.
Okay, Whitney,
and it was a really nice hotel, by the way, too. They put us up in this like Arizona Grand Resort had like wave pools and a lazy river. And my fiance Carmel loves lazy rivers and rarely ever gets to experience them. And so it was the most funny dichotomous debate prep. The debate was like at 4 or 5 p.m. I had to be at the studio, and at 11 a.m. until about 3 p.m. we were in the lazy river, and she was just holding on to my tube in her own tube, and I'm studying abortion, everything in the lazy river. And she's just like relaxed as can be. And every 10 minutes, I'd be like, babe, do you mind looking up the exact text of the 13th Amendment? Babe, do you mind telling me? And I had like a research partner right there that was just helping me prep. I was relaxed while like pouring into my brain my talking points, and I could respond saying this if he says this and ways to pin him, and prepping while also getting a great tan.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that side is that they have deep pockets.
Oh yeah, very deep. Unfortunately,
they send cars, they fly you around,
and that's the least of it. I mean, they have
Yeah.
millions and millions, and they have enough pockets to send buses of people
right?
to create an insurrection and all this stuff. And with the dolphin fetus clip too was interesting because I knew it was going to be a gold moment. I knew that would be the biggest moment, and I couldn't get the right photo, and I couldn't get one high resolution enough to print it and blow it up. And I ended up being late to the studio because we had to stop at like an Office Depot in Arizona to get it printed. What's that?
To print your dolphin fetus?
And Carmel was like, why does this picture matter? I'm like, trust me, this will matter.
Yeah.
And she has, since apologized for putting her foot down on that one.
Jisoko wants to know, where's his milkshake? Do you remember this reference?
No.
Tony will refresh your memory.
Where's the milkshake? The soundbite. Yes.
Do you remember?
I do remember it now. Yes. I don't remember where it is. I do know that I'll drink it up. Drink your milkshake. Alison, are you drinking the milkshake? Alison, are you drinking the milkshake?
Yours is In and Out?
Milkshake-based soundbite. Oh, I mean, I don't remember the context of the story. What was the story I told about a great milkshake?
You were In and Out and you saw Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, yes. Oh.
And she wanted to know where her milkshake was.
Oh, that was her asking the question. Where's my milkshake? Excuse me. Can I have a milkshake, please?
Yes. That's what it was.
Yes.
Sam Randall wants to know, favorite TV show he's watched lately?
I loved season 1 of Only Murders in the Building.
Yes. Have you watched season 2?
Not yet. I'm looking forward to watching it, even though I can't get the only negative of the show, and even though she's good in the show, I can't understand how a famous trained singer's speaking voice, Selena Gomez, talks like this. Tim Kono is in the building. Like,
she does sound like that. That is her voice. That's
full on Muppet.
Yes.
Come on over here, guys. Do you mind? Bye. It's like, what is this?
Yes.
It's very strange. But I've been enjoying that show. What other shows have I been enjoying lately? We finished season 5 of Better Call Saul. I'd given up on it, and then we heard it got really great again, and we watched it, and it did get pretty damn great. And we thought it was the end. We thought we hit the end of the series,
but you didn't.
And then there's apparently a season 6.
Yeah.
So we're about to start watching that.
Have you watched Severed?
Yes.
So good, right?
Severance.
Yes. God damn it. This is the second podcast where I've made this mistake today.
Yes. I kind of want to work at Lululemon. What's the company called in the show?
Lumen. It's been a while since I watched it a while ago, hence my now changing the title of it. Severed. I said Severed this morning.
I kind of my fake therapist recommended that I watch it actually.
Really?
Yeah.
What was on what grounds?
I think she was just saying about like how I feel like I'm constantly like bombarded by work and I never have a minute break in my brain. She's like, well, there's a way to do it. You can sever your brain. And I kind of want to work there, even though it's a horrible, cold, miserable place to work. I kind of just want to work there. It seems also like I like the vibe. I like the outfits.
Yeah.
And I also would love to be able to just occasionally go down to R&D and touch fingers with Christopher Walken. And like,
yes.
Lightly.
Tony, have you seen it?
No, I still haven't seen it. I've heard nothing but great things.
It's really good.
Tony, come down here. Touch my fingers. Touch my fingers, Tony. Please.
And lastly, Whitney C. says, what things or people in life are you loyal to?
Whitney Cummings, your old friend. Thanks for writing in, Whit. What things or people am I loyal to? My girlfriend, my fiance now, my dog, Henry, my family, my parents, my best friends, and my lifelong best friend, Scott, since college, Jason, since high school. We're about to have a 30-year 30-year friendship anniversary. And I'm loyal to the truth, and I'm loyal to justice, and I'm loyal to comedy. I'll do anything for a joke. I'm loyal. It didn't ask for me to list everything. Just that's a lot of them.
Yeah, these are good answers. All right. Given the time.
Ice cream, banana ice cream.
Banana ice cream.
Oh, the best flavor possible.
Really?
And you can't get it anywhere, almost nowhere. When I see it, I grab it always. but I've got a hack for you to have banana ice cream is just go to Cold Stone and get the regular flavor and have them mash in banana, and it tastes very similar, and it's incredible.
Tony, does this fill you with rage?
Not rage. Hey, man, like what you like. Bananas,
Thank
not
you.
for me.
Not for you.
No.
My fiance's allergic to them, and she loves them, and she can't eat them, so it's
What
more
happens
for me.
if she eats them?
She turns into a kind of a monster, kind of a Hulk. Carmel, what happens to you when you eat bananas? You kind of turn into a monster, right?
Oh my God. She's so agreeable.
She is. This is pre-monster.
All right, let's do Hey, Go Fuck Yourself, Ben. Not
Sound
you.
like you were saying that to me.
I know, it did feel that
very
way.
aggressive. Hey, go
I'm
fuck
sorry.
yourself, Ben.
Ben,
Wow.
go fuck yourself.
Wow.
Ben, is there anyone you'd like to tell something to?
Sure, go fuck yourself, Allison. I'm kidding.
Oh, wow.
would
I
never
didn't
do
see that. Didn't see that
it
coming.
hurt. It hurt, right?
It did.
No, I would like it to just generally for the entire group of Karens, go fuck yourself, Karens.
Oh,
I'm just so, I shouldn't have said it until the end. I'm sorry, but
it's fine.
I'm very tired of just people that somehow think that they can impose their will on other people in a free, autonomous world. How can you allow, autonomous is the wrong word in that sentence, definitely misuse that word, but the point is, how can you, they know that they have the same amount of rights and not more than any other person, but they decide their will, their opinion, their desire, their annoyance is more important than the other person's right to their life and to their freedom, to their happiness. And they come over and be like, listen, I know this is a public park or a public beach or market, but you should leave. You should go. You should stop. Oh, to those Karens everywhere, I would like to say,
Hey, go fuck yourself.
I need to take a moment now. I am airing
I would have
some
said
dirty.
it angrier. I would have said it angrier.
I'm dirting some airy laundry. I'm airing
Makes
some
sense.
dirty laundry and
Sounds like
saying, I'm saying the following, Ben. I've got a humongous compliment for you. Tony can agree.
I think I know what you're even going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. You nailed that. Is that what you thought I was going to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it's a hard segment to pull off properly, I feel like.
Yeah. Now, people who listen might not be aware how much editing has to happen to make it seem like the guest understood my instructions, which might be a me problem. Look, I'm just fully airing the dirty laundry. Every episode where we do this segment involves me explaining it at the beginning, and then we do it, and then there's some editing on both ends, and then I think like, how am I explaining it? What's happening that I'm explaining it wrong, or I just don't but you did it perfectly, Ben. Oh my God. You deserve a crown more than the regular one you wear.
Thank you. I don't normally wear a crown.
Your Mad
Thank
King
you.
crown.
No, I appreciate that, but I don't want people thinking I'm wearing a crown or listening to just the audio.
You're wearing a crown, and I love
That's
it.
true.
It's
I
tasteful.
did have a crown, then it broke, and then where is it? I think it's still here. My Mad Ones got me a crown it's not here, so that's a big waste of your time. I'm sorry. They got me this like child's toy crown, and it was hilarious
That's fun.
and very humbling.
That's fun. I like that. Ben Gleib, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Tell everyone where they can find you. Obviously, August 14th, they're going to be watching YouTube.
Thank you so much. That's the main thing. You know, you can follow me at Ben Gleib on socials. I'm posting 5 videos a week, lots of stand-up, crowd work, random bits, messing with people. Some of my Young Turks videos cut down. You can watch my Young Turks videos 3 times a week on the Young Turks Rebel HQ. Just look up Rebel HQ on Facebook or YouTube and click my playlist. Just find my playlist and click it. And 3 videos a week kind of commenting on the world. And you can watch my game show Idiotest on weekends on Game Show Network or anytime on Pluto TV. But more than anything, I just really hope that people watch The Mad King. And if you like it, it's on YouTube. Specifically, I chose to not even pitch it. My first special was on Showtime, and it just didn't do enough for me that I wanted it to do. And Netflix hasn't knocked down my door. If you can't get Netflix, I don't think there's any other place but YouTube to release a special. It's the only place you can blow up these days. You can get millions of views. You can share it easily. So because I'm choosing to do that, it's because I wanted to spread, hopefully, if you'd like it only. If you don't like it, don't share it, obviously. Or do still if you want to, or don't.
What I always say is, if you like what you're listening to, or even if you don't, please, so I would tell them regardless, share it.
I'll take that. But because negative comments help you in the algorithm too. But just please share it. If you watching on YouTube makes you laugh at the end, click share, copy the link, and put it on your socials, and tell some people with the hashtag The Mad King. Would be incredible. And I'm going to be doing a live watch party for the premiere I don't remember when this drops, but
this is going to air on Monday, so a week before. 6 days before.
Perfect. So you can all join me. I'm going to be putting on my socials. I'll be watching it live with you when it drops at 8 p.m. Eastern on August 14th. I'll be doing a free Nowhere Comedy Club event where you can be in the Zoom with me, watching on your own computer. And I'll be answering any question live in the comments and talking to all of you right afterwards live. So you can get a free ticket to that. Just stay tuned on my socials or at nowherecomedyclub.com for that. But bengleib.com will have all the info that you need, or my Twitter or whatever. Come and be part of the madness.
What a fun time. And listen, follow me on social media at Alison Rosen on Twitter and Instagram. If you like what you're hearing, or even if you don't, please make sure you're subscribed. Tell your friends. Leave us a nice comment on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. And listen to my other podcast, Upworthy Weekly. That is my news podcast, my lighthearted news podcast that comes out on Saturdays. And Childish, that's my parenting-ish podcast that I do with Greg Fitzsimmons every other Wednesday. And I already mentioned Patreon, and I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I don't know what that is. Tony, what about you?
I'm Twitter and Instagram at
Tony Thaxton.
And Bizarre Albums every Tuesday. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I mentioned it, or maybe I didn't. If you want to see that thing that we've been talking, words not coming out of my mouth in the correct order. YouTube.com/Alison Rosen is where you can see what you've been hearing, and a lot of other stuff as well. YouTube.com/Alison Rosen. Please go subscribe over there and watch and hit the little bell thing or whatever. Get my videos, please.
Yeah, and YouTube.com/Ben Gleib. You'll get an alert when my special drops. Yeah. You don't even have to remember, even though it would be nice if you did remember.
Get our alerts, but also remember us.
Click our bells.
Yeah, dingle our bells.
Dingle bells.
Thank you so much, listeners. Thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen Show?